Hi guys, it's Erin and I have a mixed media art journal page for you today. And what I'm starting with in my Large Dilutions journal is one of the Magicals backgrounds that I did in a tidbit video a little while ago. I'll try and remember to link it. I'm terrible with links if you haven't noticed yet. And I thought that I would use some gelatos because I haven't used them in forever, and I have these the really big ones. It's called like a double scoop or something like that. I bought them a couple years ago in Arizona when I went to Blue Moon Scrapbooking, like their actual physical store. And I've used one of them once. I think it's the purple one, but none of the ones here have actually been used. I think every time I open a gelato in this video, it's brand freaking new. It might have been like two of them that I used, but I have so many, and one of the reasons I didn't use them was because they kind of drive me nuts in that I can never get them to dry. But doing this and like you see me rubbing it and I'm like, and then I go in with the baby wipe and kind of it takes off some of the color. It seems to sink into the paper more and become more like how I like the distress crayons, because I do the same thing with the distress crayons. But even though, okay, they can still move, like Tim says, they don't move unless you move them. So like if you take a brush to them, they'll move, but unless you actually scrub over them, they don't move. And I never had that experience with gelatos before. So far, these ones, at least for this video and so far, these ones actually worked. So maybe I was using them wrong or whatever. But yeah, I have always preferred the distress crayons. So, but I have this collection of gelatos that I just haven't used. And we all know how that is, where you buy something and it's like, oh, it's pretty and it's sitting there and I'm just not using it. So I thought that I would give them a chance for this, especially since, like I said, these three were just never used, and that's kind of a disgrace. And one of the reasons that I like the daubers on the distress paints is so that I can do stuff like this and be super lazy and not have to get out a sponge or anything like that, and I can just daub stuff right on. And my cool girlfriend, she sent me, when we exchanged birthday presents, she sent me her entire 61 collection or whatever of all the dauber tops that she switched out with the other flip tops. So I have a ton of dauber tops left over. Excuse me. I can't mute that. I have to get a better recording program, but until then I can't mute that. I'm sorry. So I don't even have to worry about being really careful with these because A, I don't have 61 colors, and B, I have so many extras of dauber tops. And they sell them too, so that's handy. So you can see me just priming the top and then going in with some various stencils. I'm very sparse with my stencils. There's a gal that I really like on Instagram, and she's really amazing with layering the stencils and just going crazy. And I have no idea how she does it, because I do this. I pick 3 or 4 and then they all end up layering on top of each other. So there's not even really that much contrast or anything. It's kind of a little bit of texture, but that's about it. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to add some bubbles. And since I had already started with Magicals, I was going to add some more Magicals. And so I took out the papers from the Magicals video that I did, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, recently. And I just started tracing circles, and I have, jars and cups and all of that stuff next to me. So I'm just like, okay, well, these are going to be my shapes, because why not? I don't have a punch. I don't have like circle cutter things or anything, but I can trace stuff. So that worked out. And I figured I'm not going to fussy cut on video, but while I'm fussy cutting, why don't I put on some texture paste, and then I'll see, I'll give that a chance to dry. So I'm using this crackle paste from Prima. And one of the reasons I didn't like it was because it says platinum, and platinum means silver, and this is pearl. But for this, it actually did work. So I'm glad that I couldn't send it back, because I have actually been using it. But, it wasn't what I wanted, so now I had to buy 2, basically. These things were not cheap from scrapbook.com either. And then before I went to bed, after I colored this... after I cut out all of the pieces, I decided to matte medium them down. I used to use gel medium, but I kind of use them both interchangeably, and I'm running out of gel medium, and I have a lot of matte medium, so there you go. These coloring pages are from the shells are from a book called Naturescapes by Creative Haven, And the little boy is from Fabulous Fairies coloring book, Enchanting Images of a Magical World by Margaret Tarrant. And both of those are available on Amazon. And one of the reasons that I'm using this image is because the images in the fairy book aren't like entire scenes. They don't have fancy backgrounds. Most of them come from children's books and stuff like that. And so they were just reprinted into a coloring book. Excuse me. They were just reprinted into a coloring book. And so they're very easy to just cut out and play with your mediums and stuff like that. And one of the things that I did play with on this little boy was during Prime Days, there was a deal for the Derwent Color Soft, and so I got them. They were like, what was it? I want to say $40. They were super cheap, right? And so I thought, why not? I'll try them out. And so I did try them out on this little boy, and I'm a colorist, so it's not, going to be terrible, but I didn't like the result. And so I did end up sending them back because I didn't enjoy coloring with them. And, $40 is still $40, right? And it's still money I can get back. So I did end up sending them back. Amazon is really cool with that where, I just plain didn't like it. And they're, okay, we'll take it back. So, but I still had the little boy colored. So I might as well use it, right? So that's where he came from. And then this morning, this is what I've done. And the only thing, I don't know why I chose these weird colors for these seashells. I didn't want to color them with pencils because I was lazy. I mean, let's just face facts. I didn't want to because I was lazy. I didn't feel like going in with pencils. I didn't feel like doing anything fancy. I just thought, you know what? Why not just do kind of a wash of color with the gelatos? And I'm using more gelatos, right? Because like I said, most of these haven't even been opened. Brown was not the right choice. I didn't have a sort of seashell-y white color that I should have used, and brown was not the right choice. The cool thing about the matte medium is I can still go and wipe this off. You saw like around the edges of the one on the right side. I don't know what kind of shell that is, but around the edges, every time I went out of the lines, I was able to wipe it away with a baby wipe. And so I can, it's been a couple hours now. I can go back and just wipe it back up. So that's helpful about the matte medium is it just does that. And that's why I did wipe this entire page with it, because I noticed sometimes that if I'm not coloring the entire page with something else, like a varnish or something, you can tell where I've glued down the images and then there's like paint in the background. It wouldn't have been as noticeable in this one, but in the previous artsy video, you could kind of see it with the man on the hill one. And then I'm just kind of going through here and adding some depth to these bubbles because they were super dark. And I wanted dark. I was going for that. But they needed more of a grounding effect as well. And so I'm taking a Stabilo pencil and going over it with my water brush so that it has some sort of, depth. That's kind of the only word I can think of is depth. And the only problem with doing this is it's about now that I'm realizing I don't have a quote or anything. And usually I start with a quote or song lyrics or something. And I didn't want to stop. And like I said, this was this morning. So I'm like, oh, you got to post the videos. So that means you have to actually finish this. And I didn't want to mess around too much. So you'll see me in a second. I went and looked at my Tim Holtz stickers because, if you're going to bother to buy them, might as well use them. So originally I was going to do some stamping on here and figure out, I have texture stamps somewhere. I don't know where they are because obviously I did not find them. This is me looking for them. I probably should have edited this, but this is me looking for the texture stamps that I cannot find. And so I said, okay, fine, no texture stamps. I'll use something else. But there I found the words, and I thought I would use the Chit Chat, but the problem with the Chit Chat, or not Chit Chat, what are they? I forget what they're called. This is Chit Chat. But the problem with the other ones is they're from old books and stuff, so they still have that color in them. And yeah, that didn't really work for me. So I just used some of the Chit Chat words and I went over it with the same black so that it would be more grounded onto the page. And I didn't want to add splatters, and I couldn't find my texture stamps that would have added words or something. So I just did some more stenciling with the paint, and the thing that I forgot is for some reason, my Distress Black is super liquidy. And so I ended up just being able to stamp with the stencil. So anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry, got cut off, derp. So here's the close-ups, and I just wanted to say thank you for watching. and I hope that you like it. And yeah, I mean, the magicals worked really, really great as a background, and I'm glad that I got to use the backgrounds that I made in a previous video so you guys could see it. Because I think it's really important to not just, make these things and have the fun playtime, but actually just be able to use them. And yeah, I think it all came together really great. So yeah. Thank you so much, and I will try to have another video soon, and goodbye.